She's deaf for centuries and probably remembers a distant past when animals hunted or were hunted just like today. That's why the memory of lions and crocodiles still sticks with her. Unlike kids who were born and raised in a world where everyone lives in harmony, the reason she's been around for so long is simply that she's probably a blood-sucking vampire. It's pretty obvious since we never see her reflection in the mirror, and she mentions that bats remember her hometown, which is probably Transylvania, the place of Dracula and the origin of all vampires. But how did she end up in England as a teacher for little kids? That's a mystery we still don't know the answer to. Who knows, maybe one day we will. Besides talking animals and dancing plants that are celebrities, Peppa's World also features some humans, and we see someone playing Santa Claus in Mr. Potato's. Another moment is when we see a pirate walking right in front of the city's police station, and we conclude that there are at least 3 groups of beings in Peppa's World: talking animals, talking plants, and some humans, but we hardly ever see them. So where do they live? That's definitely one of the most intriguing questions about this show. Oh, and quick heads up, if you really like cartoons like we do, hit that subscribe button. Now, you're definitely going to love the upcoming videos. Another thing a lot of people wonder about, which you can notice in the show, is that practically all the houses are located on top of hills. Even in the episode where Daddy Pig is designing a house, you can see he's planning to build it as high up as possible. The only house that doesn't really follow this trend is Rebecca and Richard Rabbit's, and that's because even though their entrance is also at the top, it's a bit different. Kalina's place isn't above ground like Peppa's house and the other folks in town. It's actually underground, which makes sense since rabbits usually live in burrows, like Rebecca's family. But besides the rabbit family, all the other spots like the houses and the school are up on higher ground. There's no official reason for this, but a lot of people think it's because their area gets flooded a lot, which even helped Grandpa Pig. Maybe he even goes to his grandkid's house using his boat, which makes a lot of sense, but it's not an official answer from the show. But if that's true, Grandpa Pig is the most prepared of them all. Finally, one of the most disturbing questions in Peppa Pig is directly related to the fire truck episode. In it, we see Daddy Pig and his soccer team getting together for a barbecue, but if you look closely, you'll notice that among the group there's a zebra, a rabbit, and a ponies that are vegetarians is already weird. But what's even crazier is that we also have Mr. Bull and Mr. Pig Nyler, who represent the 2 biggest types of meat used in barbecues worldwide. So what kind of barbecue could a group of animals like this throw? If you really think about it, whatever the answer is, if it involves any kind of meat, that would be almost as disturbing as the crab burger created by Mr. Krabs. Seriously, it's probably best if we don't think about it too much. About this, it might end up taking away all the charm from those cartoons that are part of many of our childhoods. I don't know about you, but these questions are really complex and require a lot more thought from each of us. As for Peppa Pig, we're leaving you with 2 amazing pieces of content so you can keep having fun with us. The weird thing about the multiplication is that when Chloe takes out the doll she's going to use to make the dinosaur puppet, the number of puppets changes again. Now it goes back to having 3 dolls, like it should. Then Chloe takes it to paint, and only 2 are left in the box, and notice that they're right next to each other. That's when we spot another mistake. When the scene changes angle, we see that there are still 2 dolls in the box, but they're in a different position than before. Now each of them is at one end of the container, which makes no sense. But you know what makes a lot of sense? Subscribing to our channel. After all, if you're a fan of cartoons like we are, this is definitely the place for you. Now, moving on to the episode where George gets a new dinosaur, we see that Peppa's world is a bit different. Besides talking animals and plants, the celestial bodies tend to disappear pretty often. Late at night, we see the stars and the moon through their bedroom window. But then the scene shifts to just Dad and Mom, and we notice that the moon, which was in the window, has gone for a stroll since it's no longer there. In another episode, George's Friends, we spot another animation mistake related to objects that appear and disappear. In this case, it's the sand buckets that George and his friend were playing with, and they're right by the kids. Then Peppa and Susie get into a little argument, each trying to defend themselves. Your brother is joking around, and notice that when the image zooms back in, the 2 sand buckets seem to have disappeared like they were never there. Did the boys throw them up in the air while none of us were looking? Besides that hide-and-seek game in the Chloe Puppet episode, there's something else kind of inexplicable happening in the room. Notice that on the girl's bed, there's a stuffed toy that looks like a panda. Plus, we also see a ball, but when we go to the part where the kids are having a blast painting their dolls and puppets, it's like the two objects just vanished into thin air. When both families get together for lunch, you can see there are loads of plates with spaghetti and glasses of wine for the 4 adults, along with 3 cups of soda for the kids. And notice that the kids' cups are half full. The wives are saying that Daddy Pig and his brother look a lot alike, but they're insisting that they don't look similar at all. When the image zooms in, we can see that the 3 kids' cups are totally empty, so they definitely drank everything while we were watching the 2 Pig brothers. Maybe someone thought it would be too much hassle to put fizzy drinks back in the cups. Going back to the episode of Daddy Pig's birthday, we notice once again that something just doesn't add up. After moving George aside a bit, Mommy Pig asks Peppa to lower the tray so that she puts the cake batter inside her, but notice that she pours everything out of the bowl. So if that happened, why does Mommy Pig put the cake in the oven while Peppa shows up holding the bowl as if it's not completely empty? How did a spoon end up back inside? This Mommy Peppa's kitchen is starting to freak me out. Even with a few little mistakes, Peppa Pig is one of the most famous cartoons in the world, and those small inconsistencies are just part of it. It's normal. We're just letting it slide. Awesome stuff for you to keep having fun with us. You next time.